Are you having increased mood swings, or maybe you all of a sudden forgot what you were going to say and you feel like you've got this brain fog, this cloud over you, you can't shake and you have no idea why? Well, my friend, you may be going through perimenopause. I'm a board-certified dermatologist. Welcome to my channel, The Skin Real, where I help give real people real skin education and information so that they can live their best life and look their best. Welcome to my weekly recap video where I break down my key takeaways from my interview this week with the amazing Dr. Sadaf Lodhi. She is a board-certified OBGYN as well as Menopause Society certified practitioner, and she's going to be sharing with us everything we need to know about perimenopause and menopause and helping break down these symptoms that maybe seem random, how they're actually all a part of a bigger picture of what's going on in our bodies. And listen up, if you are a woman, if you are lucky enough, you will live long enough to experience perimenopause and menopause, you are definitely going to want to check out the full episode with Dr. Sadaf. But here are my key takeaways from that episode. So this was my first time having an OBGYN on, but I don't know about you. I have been following a lot of menopause doctors, gynecologists, urologists, and I love that women in this age group, I would say 40 plus, finally have a voice, finally have someone talking to us, telling us about these symptoms that either are happening to us or are going to happen to us, and helping us understand what's going on with our bodies, because our hormones are in crazy flux during the perimenopause period. And then, of course, our estrogen just plummets during the menopause and postmenopausal period where it's essentially zero or close to it. So let's talk about some of the common things that happen during this part of a woman's life. And for those listening who are like, well, when can I expect this to happen? The average age of menopause in the US is 51. Now, menopause is defined as the cessation of your menstrual cycle for 12 months. So you have to have no period for 12 months to be considered in menopause. And then afterwards, you're postmenopausal. But before that, there's this 5 to 10 year period called perimenopause where your hormones are in major flux. Some months you may have a period, some months you don't. Some months you have estrogen, some you don't. And it's this crazy fluctuation between our hormones that can cause a lot of side effects for women. And this can range from things like heart palpitation, increased anxiety, maybe depression that you've never had before. It can also be things like hot flashes, right? These are the more common side effects that people think of with menopause. They think of hot flashes, night sweats. But you may also be experiencing more vague things like what we call brain fog, where you just can't remember things as easily. You walk into a room and you have no idea why you walked into that room, right? You're not going crazy. This is your hormones. This is your body responding to these hormone fluctuations like never before. And it affects literally every organ. I know as a dermatologist, the things that I notice people coming in or worried about is all of a sudden they're having hair thinning or hair loss, or they're noticing that their skin is crepeier than usual, sagging. It's lost that bounce, that vibrancy that it used to have. So those are sort of the symptoms with the skin that you may notice, but really our whole body can be affected in this period. So what's the main culprit during this time in a woman's life? It's the drop in estrogen. And we are learning how estrogen really impacts so much of our health. It's what keeps women healthy up until we lose it. It's what keeps our bones strong, keeps our skin supple, helps prevent infections, things like UTIs, helps with cognition, helps with cardiovascular protective things. And we're only now just realizing how beneficial it is. And I think part of that is because there's been a generation of women like my mother's age who were told back in the early 2000s, based on a study called the Women's Health Initiative, that actually taking estrogen in menopausal women was harmful and that it could have serious side effects, including things like breast cancer. Now, unfortunately, their results have now been retracted, but the message has already gotten out there that taking estrogen can cause horrible things like blood clots and cancer. And so a lot of women are scared to take it. But now what we realize is actually the harm in not having estrogen in our bodies is so much worse than any risk from having estrogen longer in our life. And in fact, people now say you can go on estrogen in your perimenopausal 40s and you can stay on it indefinitely until you want to come off of it, that it's actually safe. So I think this is just groundbreaking. It's huge. We've forced women to suffer through so many of the symptoms of perimenopause and menopause and endure decades going through this. And now we realize that actually estrogen is the solution for so many women. And it can help prevent all these other things that we've been piecemeal treating with a medication for an SSRI for your depression, a statin for your heart, and all these other things, when really, if we just gave someone estrogen, it would make so many of these symptoms go away. And as a woman who's now in her mid 40s, I love that this is such a wonderful time to be alive, because we now realize there are things we can do to help, that we don't have to suffer, and that our symptoms that we're feeling are real. This isn't fake. This isn't in our heads, and something can be done. Now, I know there are people out there who will say, this is nature. It's natural. And to that, I would say, well, there's a lot of stuff that's natural. It's natural to get cancer. It's natural to get an infection. It's natural to break a bone and just let it heal on its own without any intervention. And I would also say that, why don't we say this to men when they ask for Viagra? No one says, well, it's just nature. It's no longer your time to be sexually active. This is just nature and your body saying that it's done, right? We don't do that for men. So I think we shouldn't do that for women, that we know estrogen is so important, not just with our reproductive abilities. It's helpful in our skin. It's incredibly powerful at preventing diabetes and our heart and preventing strokes and all these things. So if one pill, or really even a patch, can do that, why wouldn't you take it? Why wouldn't you seek it out? Now, estrogen supplementation may not be right for everyone. I am not an OBGYN. I do not prescribe estrogen patches, but I would encourage you, if you are a woman experiencing these vague symptoms, just not feeling like yourself, and your periods have been erratic and off, is seek out someone who is trained in menopause and feels comfortable treating you as a patient, because there's things that can be done. You don't have to suffer in silence. Now, one thing I'm starting to see a lot of in the skin world and derm is the use of an estrogen cream on the skin to see if that can help. Now, estradiol cream typically has been used in the vulva skin, which we know that skin becomes more dry, it thins out, there's less blood flow to the area. It can be more painful during intercourse, but also it can increase the risk of bacterial infections as we get older, because we have the microbiome of the skin and the vulva changes. And so estrogen cream can actually help prevent this. So now people are realizing, well, wait a minute, if this estrogen cream can help plump up, increase blood flow, the skin of the vulva, what about other skin and other parts of our body? And so this is an area I think that we're going to see a lot more interest in. One of my favorite compounding pharmacies just came out with an estradiol cream that we can use and prescribe. And I would say it's not something you're going to slather all over your body, but certainly there are areas of skin that thin more than others. You may want to dab a little around your eyes, maybe the tops of your hands or your neck, areas that are prone to aging faster than others. And I think that this can be helpful. And the best news is it's really, really safe. So studies have shown that you do not get systemic absorption when you are using topical estradiol cream or estrogen cream, whether you're applying it in the vulva area or on the skin, like your face, your neck, your hands. So you're not going to get that systemic absorption. And interestingly enough, when you take systemic estrogen, whether it's the patch or orally, unfortunately, the changes of the skin of the vulva do not appear to be impacted as much. So you really need both of those. You need sort of the systemic estrogen to help with those more generalized symptoms you have, but specifically for the skin of the vulva, you really do need that cream or a local estrogen applied in that area. And so it makes sense that you may also need to directly apply the estrogen cream on your skin, like around your eyes or on your face. So this is something that I think we're going to see a lot more women trying. It seems like it's very safe, that it can be effective. And hey, if you've already got it for your vulvar skin, you could certainly try a little bit on other parts of your skin. Other things that people notice in the perimenopause, menopausal period in a woman's life are things like hair falling out. I see this a lot. I've even seen it in myself, right? But nowadays, we actually have some really good treatments for hair loss. If you are suffering from it, be sure to see your dermatologist, because there are some things we can do, ranging from topicals to injections to oral medications that can help and that have been well studied and are safe. The other thing I notice a big drop is collagen. And of course, there are things that can be done to help boost this. I always say a prevention is worth a pound of cure. So I like to joke that I'm in my collagen banking era right now. A little play on Taylor Swift. We have a Swiftie in my house who's a big fan. But yeah, the goal is to try to increase your collagen as much as possible. It's kind of like saving up, right, in your bank account. And you want to save up for that rainy day, because you know something's going to happen. You're going to need a new roof. The basement's going to flood and you're going to need that money. So you try to push it all into the bank and save it up. And so that's what I'm trying to do now in my mid 40s is collagen bank. Boost my collagen as much as I can, because I know with menopause, there is going to be that drop in that decline coming. So some of the things I'm doing to boost my collagen are eating a high protein diet. I've now started eating lean animal meat to get all the essential amino acids. I also am vigilant with my sun protection. I always have sunscreen on or a hat. I would say UV radiation causes 90% of visible aging that we see in our skin. So if you can wear sunscreen and sun protect, it will help you out so much in the long run. And of course, I also try to eat healthy, try to minimize my sugar, weight lift, exercise. And I am a big fan of biostimulants. So I love Sculptra and Radiesse products because they boost your own collagen. And so I enjoy doing those, and I do see a difference. And something that needs more studies, but I feel like is pretty safe, is to take collagen supplements. So I do put a spoon into my coffee. I think it's too soon to tell if I notice a difference or not, but there have been some legitimate studies showing that this can increase hydration and decrease fine lines and wrinkles. And if it can help, it's pretty safe. I don't taste it. It's pretty simple. So those are some of the ways that I'm trying to boost my collagen as I hit my perimenopausal phase of life. And I just love that this conversation is even going on in the first place. It's not something to be feared, to be scared about. There are things we can do. And the first step is to talk about it and to get educated. If you're interested in hearing my full podcast episode with Dr. Sadaf, be sure to click here, and I will see you next week.